I'm not responsible for jailing people in Ghana.
Yeah, no, Sunny, if I dream paying for the kind, and Yamina kind. So, you know what we do on this channel. We get a bottle of whiskey, react to what is going on, and today we want to react to something that so the president of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo, was on Tete French 24 over the weekend, and he was doing an interview. But this is what I want to know, yeah. My study idea here, I say Ghana, you're paying for, like, especially the president. I want time interview with Ghanaian press crowd, like, once they come into power. Like these sit downs are more, yeah, where they will be pressed on serious issues that's happening in the country, you know. I mean, time who said I'm yes I no cry. And it's a bit, I don't know, minimum the quick one, but because I've been asking, say, do they do these interviews? Say no, you're sitting down, they are asking you the difficult question. I watch a lot of the American press as well. They interview the president. They ask them British, UK prime ministers. They go through like difficult questions. But Ghana, I mean, who say you go once the president? They address the press like once a year or something like that. Oh, accountability ni be any. They will be accountable. So the president was there and they asked him some questions, but that we want to react to. But first things first. He said certain things about the Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger forming a so-called Confederation of Sahel states, and their plans on person free ECOWAS. ECOWAS, many you na ECOWAS. So they are planning to leave the ECOWAS. These three countries forming the Sahel Confederation of Sahel states, and this is what Nana Akufo-Addo said on that issue. Let's listen to it.
It has to be a worrying situation. ECOWAS is a 50-year-old organization, and until this decision on the part of these three states, it had been an important homogenous bloc. So for three of them, and they're all founder members of ECOWAS, Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali, for them to come to this situation is regrettable. There can be no two ways about it. Now, I don't believe there's any serious-minded West African who will be happy at what has happened. What then matters is what are we going to do about it?
Okay, so I'm asking myself the same question. What are you going to do? What does the ECOWAS give to these countries? What is ECOWAS doing for these countries, or even Ghana? I think the Africa associations, or some organizations, hire for me just for the formalities of it. ECOWAS, no, man, personally, I don't know, but I mean, who has some Fasobia or Africa? Then unions, you know, I don't see, but I mean, it is what it is. Let's keep it as that. And the president went on to speak about the attempted coup in Niger and how, like, Africa, how old, especially West Africa right now, how are all these coup attempts, he was asked, how does it feel? Like, what does he think about it? And listen to what he said on attempted coups and things like that in Niger.
But at the moment, it's not happening, and Bazoum is still in prison. I think that his position is unacceptable. It's completely unacceptable that a democratically elected leader like Bazoum should be treated in the manner in which he has been treated. Essentially, people are throwing mud in the face of the Nigerian people. We have to continue to insist on his freedom. As far as I'm concerned, his freedom, unconditional freedom, is still very much on the table, and we will continue to agitate for it and to be part of the ECOWAS demand that he be free.
Okay, also on other issues, the president was asked Adudakwa was asked about whether he's worried about the democracy in Africa, around in West Africa especially, because as we know, he's a human rights lawyer and he advocates for democracy and things like that. So he was pressed on that one as well. That again or drain for how Africa can be mamin can be no how in West Africa they say echo, and this is what he said about that as well. Let's take a listen to what he said.
It's a difficult period. You'll have these up and downs, and right now
you're going down.
It's down, but I'm confident that the majority of people in West Africa continue to have great faith. I mean, for instance, when people had doubts about which way it was going to go in Senegal, you saw the big turnout of people when the vote came in Senegal for them to elect their new leaders. The same in countries like Ghana. When the polls open, you will see the numbers of Ghanaians who are going to go out openly, freely to express their view as to who and what should be the next course of action in our countries. So the desire of our people to live within a democratic culture, to me, is incontestable.
Okay, so personally, I believe in what the president said, but then in Africa, this is what I would say: democracy only works on your election day. When you election day through our democracy is done. There's nothing like democracy in Africa. You can't say what you want to say without you can't. Like being in the UK, people on radios, on TV, they say what they want to say, how they feel. In Africa, it's not like that. I promise you, it's not like that. I promise you, there's a lot like. We've seen, even you can't speak against the chiefs, you can't speak against the president. People will tell you, oh, when a woman are there and at this and this, they'll deplatform you and all of that. So it's a bit I mean it's okay, let's leave it like that. Let's leave it as it is. So the president again was pressed on, say, the people or opposition was worried, say Tama and Akfuado, Eka, Sasem way.
Jamaica said, so be what Ghana, how to be a D, Sankophobia, no one dance here, and your men and other down Kufad. Now, me say Ghana for, so what did you masam? What did you masam? Now, to me now, you're about to pray 7th December, young former Mahamadou Baobia, and Matthew Poku Prempe, one and a bit to be a trade man. And this is paying for no. Say, Yantiasia. Say, me say, me to be Jamachi, Emma. Now, go for one and Jimmy watching here, be a mayor, but me at my child. Only Babby 2 were Kunyaso. I think I'm a Babby boy, no Babby Kunyaso, and Basson and Bassocha. Wait. The next president of the Republic of Ghana.
Okay, now a man phone you and say, oh, so are you not gonna hand over power? So he was questioned again on whether it crossed his mind to stay in power or change the constitution, whether he would change the constitution to his favor to stay in power. And I knew that I know that he wasn't gonna do that, but let's listen to what he said.
Right. In your country, obviously, this is your last weeks as president. You've decided not to change the constitution to be able to run again. It never crossed your mind?
Never. That was never part. That's not been part of it. I was one of those who fought for the constitution of Ghana as it is. It's one of those.
But sometimes in power, you say,
No, I'm not one of those leaders. I believe that once the ground rules have been made, it is important for the stability of the country, the people.
I'm not one of those leaders. Which leaders is he talking about? I mean, African leaders are power drunk. African leaders, most of them are power drunk. They just want power. Someone will be like 80 something, 90 something. They can't even walk. You've seen some of them fall on stage. You've seen some of them lose that concentrations on what they cannot even concentrate. They can't put two sentences together. It's not because they are dumb. And yes, they be on my dream, but omani. And if I see you now, then we lose some part of you, lose some part of your memories and all of that. But obi to be what are they? What they are they now? What is this? So I like. I mean, obviously, Akufo is on to side, and he's not gonna do that.
People who are in office respect the ground rules. It encourages others also to do so. The stability in Ghana today has a lot to do with the fact that we have been going through these regular popular consultations. They've been accepted by the people. They've been accepted by the political class. It's proved to be a stabilizing feature of our politics.
I agree with the president. I agree with him on that. I mean, he's gonna hand over power regardless. Ghana, you see, Obiel through war. And yen a quack to Kabio, like, Yenny Abbrew, and one family got to that situation. No, no. And one thing I like about this interview is he was pressed. He was asked a difficult question. He beside the question say very important, and even the question about the opposition being worried. Say, EC, they don't trust the electoral registration and things like that is going on, and they are worried about the EC and him being the president of Ghana, the impact that he's got on that. And I think some of these questions he's gonna deny that. I'm not in charge of the EC. But let's listen to what he said. Let's listen to okay.
The opposition is worried about the fairness of the election. They're saying the way voter registration is going is not fair. They want an audit. They don't trust you.
It's not me. I'm not responsible.
The Electoral Commission.
I'm not responsible for the electoral process. That's the Electoral Commission. They had an opportunity the other day. The Electoral Commission chose to broadcast publicly its deliberations on these issues, and I think the whole country came to realize that in fact there was very little substance in the claims that the opposition was making, and they have now gone ahead to say that they will abide by the program that the Electoral Commission.
Right, like always, it's always gonna happen when MPP is in power. They're gonna blame NDC for everything. When the NDC is in power, they're gonna blame the MPP for everything. This is what I always say. This is what I say on this channel. Vote for Cheddar. Vote for Cheddar. That's it. End of. He's the only person that can make things right in Ghana right now. Because you can't trust. I don't trust MP. I don't trust the politician in Ghana. I don't trust MPP. I don't trust NDC. That's why personally I like Donald Trump, because he's a businessman. He's not a politician. You understand what I'm trying to say? So, okay. So, on the most important, on the most current issue in Ghana when it comes to the Galamsey and demonstrators and things like that, promise you, he was pressed on it. He wasn't gonna get away with it. So the interviewer asked him how people have been arrested, detained unlawfully, and Nanado is a lawyer. He's a lawyer, so he knows what to say, how to say it. I mean, personally, what he said, I can't disagree with it. Let's listen to what he said.
Right. Are you concerned about protest movements? We've seen a lot of protests. Some activists were arrested, put in jail. The opposition is saying you're trying to stifle dissent.
I'm not responsible for jailing people in Ghana. The courts in Ghana are independent institutions, and they have been all through this period of the Fourth Republic. People misconduct themselves and they're brought before court. It's for the court to deal with them. That's not a matter.
It has nothing to do about politics.
It has nothing to do with the executive. And their behavior is what lands them in problem with the police and with the courts. It's not the protests. How can the president, who himself, his political career was aided by leading protests, have problems with protests? I don't have problems with protests. And nothing is done in Ghana to prevent people from airing their views on anything.
Oh, that was a good answer. That was a brilliant answer. I mean, you can't deny it. You can't deny it. Nanado has been his political career started with Kubi Preku. He's led a lot of demonstrations in Ghana. So But my main concept in you. Yen United was there. What happened some weeks ago when it comes to the demonstrators? That it's got something to do with politics. Everything around is politics. But then to say Akufo-Addo and the instructors say, oh, they should go and arrest them and all of that, there's unrest and they should go and arrest them, that is a stretch. But then I know say they wanted to prevent this whole sometimes as well I blame the protesters because they were giving specific instructions. Do not protest here, do not protest there. We don't want you here. We've given you locations where you should be at some point. If you go contrary to that and they arrest you, for me personally, arrest is not the issue. Arresting the protester wasn't the issue for me. It's how long they were kept. How long they were kept without bail is what really my concern was. So, overall, the whole interview was good, and he represented himself well. He showed courage and he answered the question nice and understandably. But what I want is for them when they are in power. And I want this to happen in Ghana more times. When they sit down interviews with proper journalists, like people that are gonna press them with the hard questions when they are on, because that's the only way our questions or our concerns are being heard. Internet. That's what I'll say. So, like, you journalists that are listening to me right now should be like you should press for it, because President TV International 1 year now I think a 1 year interview back it's not good enough. Guys, I can speak the whole day, but I don't want to do that. I'm gonna leave you and I'm gonna say thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel, like and share. Thank you.